Now we are growing up. We have vital relations, we have mental ambitions, we have families, we have children, we have appointments, we have to earn money, get richer and richer and richer. So she said we have no time to listen to that voice which is saying, look at me. I mean, you can imagine, I still hear the mother's voice when she says all that. It was almost a pathetic voice, a very meek voice saying, like a kid saying, Mama, look at me. So it's such a beautiful, silent, quiet voice, but the noise in the world is too loud. Sometimes we can hear it, and even if I can hear it, I said maybe, when I'm 60 and retired, I will have all the time to look at me. So the mother said, people grow up, they do the job, then they retire, and then they think they can take up spiritual life because they have all the time. But I think mother didn't know in those times that most of the Indian grandparents do the babysitting in America. They have no time. At least previously when America was not there, people could go to some yatras and here and there. But now the only yatra is New York or California or Los Angeles. Why are you going? Babysitting. My son has got the second child, my daughter has got the third child, and you keep going. Well, what I mean is, she's thought that after 60 we'll have time to kind of listen to the voice. Then one thing she said, at that time she says, when you're old like that, after retirement, she says, what have you got left to give to God? Physically, mentally, vitally, you are exhausted. As somebody said, within 3 days, 6 days, if you get exhausted intellectually, imagine 30 years you work in a company, especially nowadays you have got very demanding companies, IT department, work day and night. So we get exhausted. The mind is no more fresh. You can't even pray. You can't even think of the divine. Because you get into such a routine. The mind gets into a routine, It cannot come out of the routine and say, hey, I've got to go for meditation today. How can you do something which 40 years you have not done? For 40 years you have got up 7 o'clock, you drove your car, you went to the office at 8 o'clock, you got into a jam and suddenly you cannot switch over to meditation and devotion and reading bhakti songs and listening to great music. So she said, what have you got to give to God at that age? Physically, mentally, vitally, you are exhausted. And then that meager voice, you have silenced it. Even that voice will not speak anymore. So, I'm putting in words, these are not exactly her words, but this is how she explained to me. So she said, spirituality must begin when you are young. So what all we are discussing here during the symposium, some of you did conclude saying, yes, spirituality is the only thing, is the only solution to all this world crisis. You take it on any level, be it political, social, management, any level. But spirituality is not an ism that you take up. It is not a system that you think that now after 60 I take up spirituality. Spirituality must be taken up, must be lived out from young age. Because it becomes a kind of a way of life for you. It is not a book that you take up after 60-year time and now I start reading your scriptures and all that. You cannot absorb anything at the time. Your being itself is satiated with worldly responsibilities, with the worldly consciousness, materialistic consciousness. And I've seen it's very difficult to change anything at this age. And I can say this today standing at an age over 60. So I've also passed through life. I'm constantly remembering this. I passed through, crossed the bridge of 60 years. But I've always remembered the mother, what she said. So even from that young age, I remember her advice. Spirituality must begin when we are young. So friends, the only thing that SACAR can give you is this inspiration to live a spiritual life. Not to take up spirituality, it is not an ism. So whatever way we can take up. But I gave you a lot of practical things, I mean very small things, as I tell you about the mothers, looking at the furniture, looking at the sacredness that Vedu was explaining. So spirituality is that sacredness in life. And if you can make it part of your life, then there is meaning to it. Otherwise you come to one symposium, go to the next one, come to the other one. So what's the meaning? What's the fun? Coming to Puducherry is not a fun. It's got to be an experience. And most of you here yesterday were so deeply touched by Mahatma. Obviously this is the dimension that we wish to expose you to. That there is a new possibility. Aurobindo, you see, there is a possibility of a new world. The same old human beings, you and me. But Mother has created a world there. It has its own problems. But long back when the Mother had asked me to choose where I wanted to work, it was in the year 1970, 69, I had just completed my higher course of the ashram. And the Mother had asked me to choose where I would like to work, because I had asked the Mother where I should work, in which department of the ashram, or where. She gave me the choice. And immediately I chose Aurobindo. Because I knew it is a pioneering place. It's something fresh. Humanity had never tried it out. So something where there is a pioneering effort, there will be initial difficulties. There were days when we did not even have food. Food was coming from Puducherry, we had to have some kind of a makeshift arrangement for food. But I knew that adventure is much more living, challenging, than to be sitting comfortably in a cozy corner and have become the CEO of a company. So what? So I have lived out my life just another CEO, another management IT, another breadwinner. So I went and told the Mother, Mother, I choose to be Aurobindo. And imagine I was a child from the ashram. I had just come out of the ashram department, the education system. But still I didn't choose to be in the ashram which I could have chosen. But why did I choose? Because ashram by then was already old for me, 1970. It's already 40 years gone. And I had seen through the ashram very closely because 13 years I was living here. Each system had kind of crystallized, each department had a crystallized atmosphere. And I didn't want to belong to any crystallization. I said, I have my own being to explore. And Aurobindo gave me that chance to explore myself and to touch some new ground. So, in 1971, 1st January, and remarkably there was a calendar distribution on that day, and the calendar said, blessed are those who take a leap into the future. I mean, there couldn't be a greater message for me, personally, to Ananda Reddy. And I said, Mom, thank you so much for a great message. So I still remember the enthusiasm. I took the calendar from her and straight walked to Aurobindo. I took the local bus, got down at Aspiration Crossing and walked into Aurobindo. But that, I said, is the future. Blessed are those who take a leap into the future. He is the future. But that future manifesting in a futuristic world in Aurobindo. So I had my heart there already given to me. So I walked into my heart. And the heart was my new world. So friends, we want you to really get inspired by this kind of a new vision. Don't think these are symposia of an intellectual status. But we do put in a lot of intellectual stuff. Because Aurobindo is one of the greatest intellectuals in the world today. And we should not fight shy of knowing him on the intellectual level. Why did he write the Life Divine, 1100 pages? He could have just written like a Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses and left it for But he brought the supramental, overmental knowledge to the level of your intellect so that you and me can really bang our heads against the life divine and come to know. And without knowing, how can you take a leap? So, SACAR is meant to give you that apparent vision. I mean, with whatever, not with whatever, with all of the drawback, with all our incapacities, limitations, SACAR would still like to give that intellectual trust. But this vision is what is most important and most inspiring. And after that, we come to the level of the heart, the aesthetics, the physical. But you may be 7 students or 17 students, last time we had about 21 students. But now I realize it's not a question of number of students, because in the beginning I was telling Belu how many students I have got this time, can really hold a symposium or not. But now I realize that not everybody can come to SACAR. As I said, only the seekers. So if, and as you have, all of you beautifully narrated in the meditation hall, how each one of you was touched and how you turned to Aurobindo. Some have looked for a great friend in Aurobindo. Some have looked for a great guru. Some have looked for a great mother. So you have all gotten response to your own inner need. So Mother and Aurobindo fulfill that need. Somewhere Aurobindo doesn't stand as a guru and say, touch me not, I am so high, you shall not look at my eyes. He can come down to you as a friend. And Mother, to many of us, many of those people who were even before me in the 1958, they said Mother was more than any physical mother could be. She was so loving, so caring, personally coming to each one, taking care of them emotionally, physically, marriage problems, sex problems, vital problems, mental problems, relations. So they have been a mother in the physical to the mother in the divine. But that is what is her role. She had to come down as a physical mother so that she can hold your hand and then slowly lead you on to the divine mother. If she was just an avatar and said, all luminous and bright and golden, we just worship. And there's always a distance between the worshipped and the worshipper. But Mother never allowed us to worship. She always asked us to love. So right from our childhood, the relationship was of love. Love of the mother, intimate love. We used to have a kind of awe and respect to Aurobindo. But then if you read his life divine, synthesis, Savitri, that awe and respect turns into an adoration. Adoration, not with a distance, but almost as if Aurobindo enlarging himself into a universe. I mean, he really expands himself. And then when you read Savitri and life divine and synthesis, not synthesis, especially Savitri and life divine. Synthesis, you get back, you shrink back. You see one Aurobindo goes there. Someone who struggled, somebody who really strove step by step and put the whole lab into his own body. And now we are doing section 4, part 4 of the synthesis in my ashram classes. And I see that magnificent yogi, Mahayogi, not the avatar. I mean, it's so brilliant. I mean, the analysis that he has given every step of how to go about ego, how to go about desire, how to go about attachment. I mean, it's not, I think, whole of Indian psychology is there in the single book of self-perfection. So these are the dimensions. So why should we explore these dimensions and get a thrill? My mind gets, enthralled. So that is what SACAR would like to do. And so those of you who have come, they have come because someone has brought you here. There have been excuses. Somebody opens the internet and suddenly sees Aurobindo and says, wow, that's the place I have to go. Nothing is